Once I have my fondant all rolled out, I'm going to use a texture sheet to imprint a small diamond pattern on it. I've already put my cake on a board. Don't forget to put a little bit of icing underneath of it so it doesn't slide around. And I'm going to use a piping bag to squeeze icing on the sides of the cake. It's a lot easier for me to do this than to try to crumb coat such a small piece of cake with a spatula. Now that I have icing on all four sides of my cake, I'm going to roll up my textured fondant like this, and I'm going to use it to wrap the outside of the cake. Don't worry if the ends don't match up perfectly at the back of the cake, because we'll have some straps that are going on the back and the front will be kind of folded over. So there'll be an opportunity to camouflage any gaps. I'm just going to take my spatula and kind of push the bottom edge of the fondant down underneath the cake a little bit so that it's not just a straight edge there against the board, but it looks a little bit more rounded. And then here at the back of the cake, I'm just going to pull the ends together as best I can for now. I'm just going to squirt some icing on the top of the cake and then bring the fondant together back here. This is going to be one of those backpacks with the folded over top. It doesn't look like this fondant is going to stretch enough to meet, so that's going to be where I end up putting a strap to cover that hole. But before the fondant gets too dry, I want to go over the diamond pattern score marks with this little pinwheel tool. It puts little dots on the fondant that makes it look like stitches, and since we're going for kind of a quilted look, this is going to make the lines a lot more visible. And I'm not going to make you watch me do the whole cake, but you basically want to go over every line with the pinwheel. I'm just going to roll out and cut some thin strips of this purple fondant to make these straps for the backpack. To attach them, I'm just going to lift the folds of the top like that and slip the strip underneath. This one is going to need to cover up this hole back here where the ends of the fondant didn't meet. So I'm going to do that by basically just pushing it up against where I see some exposed icing underneath the fondant, and as long as I can't see any of that white icing showing through, I feel like it's probably pretty well covered up. And then, did you see what I did there? I just took my spatula and slid the end of the strap kind of underneath the base of the cake and cut it off when I thought it looked like it was long enough. And I'm just going to do the same thing for the other strap. I'm going to use this mold to make a couple of little birds and some hearts to decorate the backpack with. Press a piece of fondant down into the cavity of whatever shape you want to make. Trim off the excess so that it's flush with the top. Smooth it out with your finger and then turn the mold upside down and pop out the pieces. It's really that easy. I'm going to use the larger heart to be the closure on the back here. And then I'm going to add the two little birds and the smaller heart to the front of the backpack. I'm using piping gel to attach all these pieces. But it isn't really done until you've added the super pearl.